This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. This is Deborah Johnson back with you again today, and what a great subject we have with a very special guest. Well, Liz, I am so excited to have you with me today. This is Liz DeClifford that's joining me on this episode of Women at Halftime podcast. And Liz has quite the professional bio, but she also has a lot of personal obstacles that she has overcome. And so our subject today is raising the bar, overcoming hurdles in life. And just as a little bit of background about Liz, she's for over 20 years advised and coached business executives, as well as lawyers, financial advisors, and real estate professionals. She's worked with companies in Silicon Valley, companies like Google, Netscape, and she's a former nurse. So she's worked with medical professionals, healthcare providers, really an extensive experience in working with women who are looking to improve their business communications and their overall presence. And she's one of the first 100 women in the United States to have earned the Distinguished Speakers designations from Toastmasters. I think that's rather impressive. I'm so glad you're with me today, Liz. This is great to have you here. So
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's just great. You've also gotten a couple of other awards, I guess the Motive Awards. We might get into that a little bit, but I really want to hear a little bit more of your personal background because you have had some major obstacles to overcome. And it started when you were very small. So can you give a brief history of your life, like who you were raised by and why, and what happened there? So let's just start there.
Okay, that's great. I don't look on these as obstacles. I look on them as reinventing each phase. You know, just reinvent the story, reinvent the person. As a kid, I grew up with a homeless schizophrenic mother. At 7, I was dying with diphtheria, and then I was institutionalized, and so was she. I didn't see her again, and then I lived at the institution from about 7 through 18. And it was a little village boarding school / a place where some of the teachers lived, and I lived just under the roof.
Wow. Well, I love your focus on reinventing yourself and reinventing the story because you have such a positive outlook. And after that, you did a lot of travel. Is that correct? Everywhere? And you just kind of took off and...
I am an adventurer at heart. I look on projects and thoughts as an adventure. This could be fun. And so when I finished my nursing in England at all of 21 and a half, I said I can now travel the world as a nurse and a secretary, and I'll combine them, and I will earn money, save money, and then when I got enough, I'll move on again. So I came over from England to California. I chose California. I dropped the pin on the map of America. It ended up in Los Angeles, and I was here at 21 and a half, looked around and got off the plane and said, this could be good if there's some trees and grass.
I love that focus on being an adventurer because I think that stayed with you through your whole life. But I'm going to go to, and you call these, you call them reinventing yourself, but you found out that you have dyslexia and you have, you are termed as handicapped. How in the world did you get a nursing degree and all of that through dyslexia? How did you manage?
Well, I grew up with the title of retarded at the institution. Mm-hmm. I couldn't pass my exams or do my homework, and I couldn't do the painting or the sewing because I didn't understand the directions. And I just ignored all that. I bumped along, And when I went to nursing school, I was bored of being a secretary because I wasn't very good at it, because I don't read and write well. And then at nursing school, I chose a nursing school that was more like, not a London hospital, but a smaller city hospital. And it had a slower program, and I was able to keep up. And I always make friends with the instructors because I may need their help. So I passed all, the practical, but failed all the reading and writing. And so we went to the head of the hospital, and she made an argument, the case for giving it to me. And I didn't know I was dyslexic yet. And I got it. So that was good. Fast forward to my late 30s, having back in LA now, and I was taking some career testing at UCLA, thinking about what I might like to do next. What's my next adventure or my reinvention? Then since I don't know the opportunities out there, I'll get UCLA to help test me and give me some thoughts. And they did that. And while I was doing that, I happened to be referred to a doctor at UCLA called Dr. Thomas Trott, PhD, MD, and for some counseling while I was getting divorced. A friend of mine thought it would be a good thing to do, and I said, I don't think so. And I'd go over there after my testing of 2-3 hours at UCLA, and the second time I went, he's a family practice, specializes in children, and said to me, have you ever heard of the word dyslexia? And I'm like, yeah, that young lady I'm coaching from the Junior League Child Abuse Project, who's at 16 years old, teaching calculus, coaching calculus at Cal State LA. Well, you're the same. And I like, no, I'm not. And he said, well, let me explain. So he explained, and then I went off to a Frostig school, which is a famous school for learning disabilities, for testing, more testing. And then I did about 6 years of private tutoring, and then with Frostig, and then I went to Pasadena City College Learning Disability Program, and I became a leader in California for learning disabled adults, and from the first support group for adults for the state, and learned about the law. And so I applied for a job first I applied to Red Cross because I've got a nursing background. And I just said, I'm handicapped, and I got my legal statement and all my documentation. And they said, no problem. What do you need? And the second one didn't work so well, but I was there 5 years. It was a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. And that one, when they changed boss, the new boss, she didn't buy it. So I was fired, and that's like, well, there you go. I gave it my best shot for 5 years.
It's really amazing to me, Liz, how you didn't let that term retarded or anything else hold you back. And you just went right ahead, and you've traveled extensively. You never let anything sort of like just hold you back. And that's very inspiring. Well, you're 76, is that correct? Do I have that right? What's that?
8.
Oh, 78? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's even more amazing. Just because of your spirit of adventure, of that you've worked through areas where you could have let those just completely hold you back, of just saying, well, I can't learn that. No, you found out a way to make it work. Clear back in England, where you were looking for a smaller city, a smaller organization, so you could get into school and have that individual help. I thought that was brilliant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all of us in the learning disabled world tend to be self-paced. Mm-hmm. We can do extremely well, all of us out there, and there are millions of us across America. If we do it the way that works for us, we succeed.
Mm. That's very good. Yeah, go ahead.
But we do have to put up with people disagreeing with that approach. Mm-hmm. But they're not the learning disabled.
Wow. Well, even putting our interview together and sending you some ideas for where we're going to go in it and all of that, and just to make sure that communication is really, really clear. And I think that's a message for all of us in working with people at all sorts of different stages. And I loved your point of, self-paced and realizing that certain people are just going to be, they're going to get it eventually, but just
Right.
self-pacing. So that's a great point. Tell us, I just think this is so interesting because, and we're only going to spend, a couple minutes on this, but some of the places that you have traveled all by yourself as a woman, as a single woman all around the world. So just list off some of those places.
Well, after the United States, around 28 or so, I saved my money and I bought a ticket on a boat, in the bottom of the boat. And I got on it, actually turned in part of it. The ticket was going to get me to England and Australia. First Australia, then England. And then I decided to turn in the first portion for an air ticket. And I flew to Honolulu and I sat on the beach for a month. Then I picked up the boat and stayed with some friends. Picked up the boat in Hawaii and went to Japan and got off the boat in Japan and wandered through Japan. And then I found the boat in the southern part of Japan and got on it and sailed to Hong Kong. When I got to Hong Kong, I said, bye-bye boat. And I stayed in Hong Kong and I got little jobs, waitressing or something like that. Because I'm a British citizen. It was a British colony at the time. And did that for a while. And then I went over to Bangkok. Nobody spoke English. And so I had to find a little American small hotel. But I got some students and traveled all over the Thailand area much as I could. And then I flew on down to Singapore. And then I picked up a boat and I went down boat to Perth in Western Australia. And I worked in a medical hospital there. And then after a year or so, I got on a boat and went over to Sydney and I worked at Royal College of Physicians and eventually came back to the United States, not UK, because I thought I would want to sign in for my green card, so it kept it active.
That was just amazing that you just said, well, I'll get on the bottom of this boat and I have my trunk and I have, at that stage, your suitcase, well, you called them trunks and your suitcase and just, an adventurous spirit. And I think that's stayed with you, your whole life pretty much. And even now, because you are now even working on a new keynote, which is a new speech. And at the age of 78. Okay, so where are you going now? What's your next journey with this keynote and how did you come upon the subject of it?
Well, people have asked me to speak and write about my life, write a book since I was 12, and it's repeated all the way along. So I have a business coach for many, many years. His name's Alan Weiss. He's quite well known. He's written 50-some books for entrepreneurs. And a couple of years ago, he said to me, it is now your turn to give back. And the best way to do that is to create a new keynote. Wow. And I have an expert in innovation that I think the three of us should work with. And his name is Mark Levy. And we spent a lot of time on Skype. And he came up with how to reposition a 78-year-old lady to thrive making money speaking as a keynote speaker.
Wow. And because you work with, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. You currently, you work still with lawyers and with others, but with a keynote speech, where would you give that? And what is your target audience with that?
Well, our first target audience that we planned, because we're about to start marketing it, was to the baby boomers, because I'm a tad older than all of them, and they. I'm
sorry, I just had to say that.
I can help them, become more adventurous, more reinvent themselves out of the corporate world or professional world. And so that is part of what it's about. And then we added also high school and college, particularly high school, which I was not I was really surprised about. That was a good audience, but that's because of my background. Once I'm a kid who survived high school all by myself.
Wow.
And nowhere to live. This is like this in America. At 18, you're put on the front doorstep with your suitcase, and the rest is on your own. Well, I did that when I was 17, so figured it all out.
Yeah,
where to live, where to get food, where to go to school, and I just made it work. So, and I think that's a very strong message for a lot of the kids today, and then people in the corporate world, they've added that for reinvention, because the corporate world moves so fast, professional world, and people are getting left behind. Number one group getting left behind are attorneys.
right.
They're just stuck in their old mode. They have to learn to reinvent themselves and show up in jeans and a t-shirt and create their own law firm and do something adventurous with their expertise.
Wow.
To be different and stand out.
That's a great audience. Now, I have a son who's an attorney, and he's got his schedule. He's always been like that. Yeah. But
that's what makes them succeed.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And so now, what you do coaching for attorneys? So you coach them in being adventuresome and kind of getting out of their normal routine. What other things would you say to an attorney?
Well, one of my fun clients last year he was asked to suddenly, he's a aerospace engineer / attorney, IP attorney, and space law. And he was suddenly asked to fill in for somebody in Silicon Valley who got sick at a worldwide conference, and everybody who spoke at the conference had 5 minutes. Now, when you have 5 minutes to speak to grow your business, that's a big challenge.
Yes.
And so he hired me to help him with that, and how to present yourself, and his topic was space law. And he was out to find clients, of course, that's why you speak, to grow your business.
Yeah, how do you put space law into 5 minutes? My goodness.
It was a challenge and fun.
See, I love that about you, because you, again, that adventurous spirit comes out. Oh, I think I can do that. I think that's just really a great attitude, especially for those at halftime, because people give up.
Mm-hmm.
They give up on their dreams. They don't think they can do it. They think the world is passing them by in technology. And there are usually always a way to do it, always a way around it, as I say. So you have really done that in your life. So that's very admirable. So
thank you.
Yeah.
But I have to say it's fun, and you don't always succeed, and you've got to be adventuresome to go find the new and uninvented ideas or topics. And sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. Hang out in Silicon Valley, and you'll soon find that out.
And you are there quite often as well, because you are
I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, in Northern California. Well, so now you're 78. You're about to market your new keynote you've been working on for a bit. And you've been encouraged to write a book. And I'm sure you'll just bring somebody right alongside. There are so many tools now that you can make that happen. That'd be very inspiring, especially to put down some of your personal background as well, because that is very unique of the things that you have overcome. I think it's very inspirational, extremely inspirational. And
thank you.
Yeah, at 78, then, that you're working on your new keynote. A lot of people just keep doing the same old thing. Oh, it's working.
Never. I've never done that.
See, that's why you're still working. And that's why, we can do things like this, because I think it's very, very inspiring. So how much longer do you think you're going to work? I mean, you're 78. And I want to talk about, too, because how you stay healthy, because when we talk about longevity, my goodness, you look amazing. I mean, you keep slim and trim. You're you're always dressed beautifully, and you take care of yourself, which is wonderful. But I know you have a certain diet and you have a certain regimen you go through. So just talk about that for a minute, just at your stage of life.
Well, I don't look on it as a regimen. I just grew up with healthy food in a village, and when they started adding additives and things like that, I would get an apple instead, because it didn't. I only like pretty much true food, real food, and I stayed away from other kind of food. But then in my mid-30s, I was diagnosed with a gluten intolerance here in the Pasadena area where I live in California, and that was very forward-thinking back then, and I've been gluten-free 40-some years. I also have always blended it's called integrative medicine now in the United States. I blend traditional medicine and other kinds of medical care for myself, and the blend has worked absolutely brilliantly. I mean, I've been blessed with extraordinary health and energy, and so I plan to keep doing what I'm doing till I get a message from somewhere that I maybe need to reinvent myself again, doing something different.
Wow. I just think it's great. I mean, I know people in the music field as well. I mean, they're well into their 80s. I plan on working well into my 80s. And especially if your health holds up. So you do have to just pay attention to it. Your body is, as I say in music, your body's your instrument. So there's a part of that you have to treat it, like an instrument. You have to make sure it's well tuned. You have to make sure that you're keeping it in a good space. And my piano doesn't sleep, but my voice does. So, and to make sure that you've got everything that you can physically to keep going, and also to enjoy life.
Let me stop you a minute. The word "keep going," I don't relate to that. Okay. I don't know what that means, because I just look on it as go. Not I just charge. It's nothing about keeping going. I just go. When some signal will show up one day, you may need to go a different way. It's an adventure to me in that I just get up and I run up to the spinning class by 5. I get there by 6 a.m. And I usually do that a couple of times a week, and yada, yada, yada at the gym. And then I come back, and then I've got all my work clothes for the day, and off I go, hop in my car, and I'm gone.
Wow. See, that is such an inspiration. I'm an early riser. I get up early and send my body to the gym too. But I think to live at this stage, and especially here, you're ahead of me quite a bit, actually, 78. But it's very inspiring. It's very exciting that you are still doing that. It's keeping you mentally alive too. It's keeping your mental, the body and the mind are connected there to be able to keep working. So. And so my little question of how much longer do you plan on working? So you're just going to keep working until, there's a different message. So is that correct?
Well, yeah, so long as it's fun, so long as I'm well, right?
Yes.
If I'm continued to be blessed, and that with good health, and I'm having good time and having fun, and loving what I'm doing, and if I don't have fun and don't love what I'm doing, then I'll turn to the left and find the next project.
Right. Oh, well,
I have some in mind.
Okay. Well,
one day,
that's a great sort of attitude. Just keep going, and you'll you have plenty of plans ahead, and I plan to do the same thing. I figure at some point my kids will say, Mom, I think it's time. We need to get you a little help or something. Most of us with aging parents are doing that, and but I think that's you'll know, people around you will know that you have surrounded yourself. And you have a really good network of friends and of colleagues. Is that correct?
Yes, that's really important. And it's something I do naturally. I think we have to keep, another way. I think at any time in our lives, we need to have a vibrant community around us.
Yes.
And it's no different at any age you're in.
Yes.
And it's just a natural thing that I do, and I do it globally. And I'm a global person. I've lived and worked in South Africa, and it's just the way it goes. I never erase a name out of my Outlook ever.
Wow. That's I think that's really healthy, and that you have that's a mental decision that you have done, and you have made to keep on that path, because many people just write people off or write something off, and they never follow up. So that's very, very good. So, well, Liz, thank you so much. We can reach you at your website. Is that correct? At LizDeClifford.com? So I'll put...
No, it's DeCliffordConsulting.com.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad you corrected me there. DeClifford Consulting, all connected. And DeClifford is DeClifford. Yes.
Yeah, DeClifford.
DeCliffordConsulting.com. Good. That will be in the notes with this too. So we'll be able to reach you. Well, a couple little takeaways. I just really appreciated you coming and being on today. So, but yes, this adventuresome spirit, not to ever let that go. And I think that's kept you all the way through. And that you don't think of it's a reinvention. What were your words there? That you are reinventing the story. So pretty much.
Yes.
And it's, that's a really great thing. And even when you are termed one thing, that you don't let that hold you back, like that retarded sort of.
I didn't believe them. Even as a kid.
Well, good.
Like, I don't know what,
And realizing that you just needed to be self-paced. I think anybody, even without a disability, we have to realize that we can still be self-paced. We don't have to be in that big of a hurry. And to pay attention to our bodies. I think that's another great point of, being healthy throughout and making those decisions. Although I do not think I'm going to give up my dark chocolate. I am so sorry that it has sugar in it. You just have to have a little bit of that every day almost. So
they say it's good for you.
Oh, yes, of course. I keep telling myself. So, well, thank you again, Liz, for being on today. And for those listening, thank you for joining us today. This has been so much fun. I do have a free download for you today, goalsforyourlife.com/ingredients for success. You will want to get your hands on this download because it is just great to help you think through your second half life. And it's just a great little handout. So make sure you get that. Again, goalsforyourlife.com/ingredients for success. And it's completely free. And next week, make sure you come back next week. Our subject is, are you feeling it's too late to start a new career at halftime? Oh, boy, have I been asked this one quite a bit. So there's a lot of mindset that goes in that. Again, make sure you join us next week. It's really a great topic, great discussion on this. Are you feeling it's too late? I would say, no, it's not too late. And there's really a sense of adventure that happens at halftime. And I'd love you to walk away with that after listening next week. So you want to be with me then. We can have a lot of fun with that subject because, that was a great subject for today, too. You have had to kind of start over, but it's definitely not too late. It is a great time of life to have some new refreshing, new reinventions. And so when we think of it like that. So, well, thank you again, Liz, again, so much for being with us today. Just appreciate this so much. And
thank you for having me.
Okay. All righty. So, and we will see you, all of you listening. I will look forward to being back with you next week. This is Deborah Johnson at goalsforyourlife.com and womenathalftime.com. Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson signing off.